was 12 years old, I had a strong call on my heart to go into missions after attending mission meetings for a few years at my church. But at that time, I was afraid to say anything to anybody because I was afraid, actually, that he would send me to Africa. As I grew up and I had my family, and our family did do different short-term mission trips, and my husband joined in those, and he developed the desire to go into missions too. So in 1998, we packed up our family and went to Ghana, West Africa.
So we started off as teachers in Ghana, West Africa, in the capital. And we were attending a meeting one night where we learned that there were over 3 million people in the north of Ghana that were unreached with the gospel. And so God put it on our hearts to try to be a part of reducing that number before we left Africa. So we moved from the city and moved further north where we were being trained. And then we were working with a different Bible school that were sending missionaries into remote villages in the north. And because of Sue's background as a medical person, we were able to use that as a tool to gain entrance into a lot of the villages in the north of the country.
And what we were actually doing was working with local indigenous missionaries. They were sacrificing their lives to leave the city and go live in remote villages among their people.
We had to come up with a way to provide housing for these people because you couldn't just ask them to go sleep under a tree somewhere. So that was when we came up with the technique of building huts out of plastic bags. And some of the places that we had to go to build these huts, it calls for us to go across rivers in canoes, and it was a great time.
And while the men were building huts, which took about 2 days, we would do medical outreach and discipleship among the people in the village.
Yeah, and then God laid it on our hearts that it was time for us to move even further north into the country of Ghana and started living with people who were still living in mud huts with grass roofs. And we started trying to figure out how can we reach out to these people. And God laid it on our hearts to use different techniques. One of them was we started putting movies into the language of the local people. And that worked out very, very well for us.
And we would get a crowd, but we weren't seeing the success of discipleship among the people. But one thing we did realize was that we needed to start reaching the next generation. That's what we did. We started doing kids clubs, and that took off like wildfire because there were several local Christians that we had gone to church with and that we knew as friends. They caught the vision and they began to go out into the surrounding areas that we live in. Today we have 16 kids clubs that are reaching around 400 children on a weekly basis. We provide them with curriculum, and we have a yearly competition that they come and that we have great prizes for them. That keeps the motivation going. And we even have children that have gone through our clubs for about 3 or 4 years that are now actually participating in some of the teaching. They've matured enough. And that's just such a great example and an encouragement to the younger ones in our clubs.
And one of the things that the clubs have done is it's opened the doors for us to actually put in schools. So we have a school in one of the villages, and now we've been requested in a couple of the villages to build churches. So we're seeing that it's evolving into something much bigger than we had thought it would be at the beginning. One of the things that we are doing right now is we have secured a block making machine from South Africa that's been a real blessing to us. We're able to produce concrete blocks that do not wash away when the rains come, which is a big problem in the village. We hire local people to come in and build the blocks, and their salaries are much higher than normal, and it's been a tremendous blessing to them. But on top of that, While they're there, we play Christian music for them. We play Bible stories. We had devotions with them. I've actually taught them how to do storytelling. Some of these young men that came to work for us were of other faiths, and they have decided they want to become Christians. So it's been a real blessing to us just in the process of building these blocks. And the added benefit now is that we have a tool to go into local villages and start building churches. So it's a great opportunity for us to use this as outreach. We've been requested by some of the villages to start building birthing centers. They were explaining to us that their death rate amongst children was extremely high because they do not have a clean place to have children. So we can do that very economically now because of these blocks that we're producing. We're very excited about the doors and opportunities that God has opened up to us in West Africa. And we hope that you and your church will come and be a part of that with us. We have been blessed that you have allowed us to be your hands and feet on foreign soil. We know that without you, we couldn't do what we're doing. So again, we want to say thank you for participating. Thank you for being an active part of taking the gospel to the ends of the earth. We understand that when you send money to an organization like ours, that sometimes it's looked at just as money, but money represents labor. So from our perspective, we see you laboring to birth souls into the kingdom every bit as much as we are. We just do it differently. So again, we are honored to be a part of your team, and we hope that you feel a part of our team.